The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated.
Welcome back to the Nova Society. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, and I'm here with my favorite panel and yours, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Mark Bound. Today we will be answering listener emails, and we have a question from Nora, who lives in Anchorage, Alaska. And Nora asks, it's being reported that Russian drones violated the airspace of Poland on their way to Ukraine. It's even being reported that Poland scrambled their air defenses and down a few of these drones. Could this be the pretense of NATO's getting directly involved with the Russia-Ukrainian conflict? Would the U.S. honor Article 5 of the NATO Charter? If the rest of NATO got involved?
So
it's also possible that
we can probably answer that.
Yeah,
you can probably answer the last part of that very simply by saying, who knows? Who knows what
who knows if the U.S. will honor Article 5?
We've been waiting for it for a while now, and it doesn't seem to be happening. And this is a great moment, by the way, for Trump to send a really strong message by going to the Senate and saying, "Give me the worst you got. Let's put some sanctions down. Yeah, let's put our on the scale of this conflict." Finally, and let's fund Ukraine with weapons that they need to fight the war, and let's put more pressure on Vladimir Putin to end this war, because so far, since that meeting in Alaska, Putin has only escalated this war, and Trump looks like really like he's not even in Neville Chamberlain land anymore. He really looks like the most feckless human being alive. Like there are small children running around who have more of an effect on international relations than Donald Trump does.
Yeah. And I think the warning sign of all this is that Russia truly believed that it was okay for them to send drones over Polish airspace. And kudos to the Poles. They reacted, shot a couple down. Kudos to them. But the fact that the Russians felt emboldened that they could violate the airspace of Poland. And as Scott points out, just after this little meeting that nobody was seen to be happy about in Alaska. So, the Russians are escalating. They're basically thumbing their nose at NATO, probably because something was said at some point in time during that meeting that made Putin believe that the Americans won't do anything, that we're just going to stay out of it totally, even if NATO becomes involved. And I think that that's a very worrying sign for the region and for Europe. And I would hope that Europe takes this sign and says, hey, you know what? We may be going this alone. We can do this, and start gearing themselves up to prepare to have to do this without the United States. And that to me is the most, troubling sign when I heard about this, because normally, we always say you never kick the bear. Well, you never kicked NATO. And this was basically a kick. Why would Putin feel so emboldened to do this, especially over Poland? There's other routes that he could send missiles through. It makes zero sense unless he's just testing the waters to see what NATO will do. And the only reason I would think that he would test those waters is if he truly believed in his heart of hearts that the United States under Trumpy Trump won't do anything. And that's concerning. It should be concerning to our European allies and the members of NATO.
Do you think there's any possibility that these drones strayed into Polish airspace by...
No.
I mean, technology's great whenever it works, granted. But no, there was too many. If it was one or two, you can say, well, we had a malfunction. Okay. You could probably get away with that excuse. But there were too many. I mean, Poland shot down what? 10? So I thought I read that they shot down like 10. It's being updated all as it goes along. I'm not really sure the exact number, so please don't hold me to it. But I think they shot down like 10. They had enough time to scramble their air defenses. So it's not like it went over the tip of Poland. You wouldn't have time. This is pretty blatant. And, probably somebody's going to say, oh, it was a technical malfunction, this, that, and the other. I can't see it being, no.
Yeah. Which apparently they did. And that's already been rejected.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, this is not an oops.
Right.
And of course, they're going to probably present it as an oops. But I think the real telling thing was they were looking to see what the response was from the United States.
Yeah, I agree.
Entitled society today, where everything's about us and it's me, 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 and screw everybody else. And I think that's really what we're looking at right here.
Well, they were looking to see what Trump would do, and of course, there's no reply. Oh yeah, I'm really gonna get tough on Putin now, or something, or whatever it was that he said. I mean, it when he said that, oh yeah, well, it's really gonna happen, or I'm really gonna, I'm gonna do something. This, whatever it was that he said, it's obviously nothing's going to be done. It's just evident.
Yeah, well, so I don't expect that this is going to stop without Trump doing something. And so if this is, I'm not saying we should go to war over this, but they've got to use some tools in the toolbox that they have, which is generally speaking sanctions, to let Russia know that this is not acceptable and that they're going to have to. Then that they cannot do this again. This was not an accident. This is, and them saying so is just typical Russian disinformation. There was another spokesperson who said that that they're not putting up with this anymore, meaning Russia, and that any sign that Poland or anybody else, any NATO troops are going to enter Ukrainian territory is going to be met with violence. And I think that we should not send NATO troops into Ukraine and let Ukraine continue to fight this war, but give them all the tools that they need to do it. And that's really, I think, probably the smartest thing that Trump could do right now is let Vladimir Putin know in no uncertain terms that this war is going to continue and that we are going to continue to give Ukraine the weapons that they need to fight this war, and that as long as he wants to keep fighting it, we're all willing to fight it. As long as Ukraine is willing to go along with that's the message that needs to be sent.
I don't think he'll do it to his buddy Putin, who's
are we saying he's going to be a taco? Trump always chickens out.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I mean,
whose word Trump takes over the United States Intelligence Service?
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, it's tough. He's in a tough spot, and we're all in a tough spot with him. But this is what happens to appeasers, right? When you appease somebody, it just makes them want to take a little bit more. And this was an escalation that needs to be addressed, and the appeasement has to stop. And appeaser, Trump the taco, whatever you want to say, this has to end. And a more clear message obviously has to be sent.
And I don't think it can come from Trump, Scott.
It has to. It has to come from Trump.
Honestly, I don't know, because if we look at what happened in Alaska, that really went badly.
Oh yeah, terrible.
I mean so I don't honestly think Trump could make it any better. Maybe, they're sending Kellogg, who's the envoy to Ukraine, retired general. Maybe somebody else other than Trump himself making a statement. I don't care. Roll out J.D. Vance, anybody, because I just don't think that when Trump says something and it has something to do with Putin, I don't think there's any credibility there. And I don't think it makes anybody comfortable. And I think it only makes things worse. So the United States has to appear to be ready to do something, and we need somebody other than Trump to be able to project that message to Putin, because they're saying that, he plans on talking to Putin within the next 10 days. Bad idea.
Well, it's a bad idea to wait, for one thing.
I agree.
Action needs to be taken today.
Yeah, I agree. Just send Ukraine the weapons.
Right.
We're sending the weapons. Send the weapons. That's it.
The Senate has a package that they're ready to go with that will put sanctions on Russia that will hurt. Trump needs to go to John Thune and say, Senator, do your thing. Let's get this done. I'll sign it. I really do believe it has to come from Trump. It can't come 2 weeks from the famous.
Well, no.
About 2 weeks from now, we should do something where we're going to give Vladimir Putin 50 days to come up with a better answer than that. This has to be done now. We are at the point where if you give Putin a little bit more rope, he's going to use it, and he's not hanging himself. Right, he's not hanging himself. Yeah.
Because the exact comment was either this week or early next week we're going to have that conversation.
No, man. It's.
I mean, that was his comment to this, and I mean,
and
his answer to this is, let's put more tariffs on Russia,
on India.
Oh God Almighty! After they just got done, hugging with China and with North Korea and with India, you honestly think that sanctions from Europe are going to make that big of a difference to damn Russia? Because let's face it, Europe still relies on Russia for a lot of its energy. And come on. I mean, he plays the same old song all the time, and it's a bad song. Tariffs, and we're going to get to it next week sometime.
So apparently there is a bill, Senate 1241, called the Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025, that allows Trump to put a 500% tariff on countries that purchase Russian oil, gas, or uranium without aiding Ukraine, with the aim of pressuring Russia to end the war. Led by Graham Blumenthal and Dan Sullivan, whoever that is. Okay, that's one thing. I'm not in love with that one. I don't want to punish other people for what Russia is doing. The other one is, let's see, mandatory enforcement of existing sanctions, right, which is currently discretionary. There's got to be more leverage here, and they need to push for a sanctions package that puts some pain into this, because if sanctions is the way we're going to fight this, and nobody's saying that we need to go bomb Moscow or make the lights go out in Moscow or whatever it is, then we need to show him that Trump is strong enough to stand up to him, and that all the waiting and the I'm not happy and Vlad stop and all that nonsense that's been going on since he's taken office again is no longer the policy of this president. That has to happen, and it has to happen really, really soon. It can't wait. There's no explanation and Trump will. I think you're probably right. He'll say, well, you know what, as it turns out, Vladimir says that it was a mistake on the part of the drones, and I tend to believe him. So, they'll do that. But that's only going to make this worse. And eventually, someone, it might be Trump, it may be his successor, it may be somebody else, is going to have to fight Vladimir Putin one way or another. And again, I'm not talking about bombing anybody over this. I'm not throwing bombs at Russia, but you can, if you lock them down, if you cut off their money supply, if you supply Ukraine with advanced weapons, and let him see that from now on Ukraine has 100% U.S. support, which he's never had as long as Trump's been in office, that this is what's going to happen. I mean, you want to be tougher than Biden? Okay, then give them offensive weapons as well as defensive weapons, and let them strike deep into the heart of Russia, so on and so forth. What you're walking a line here, obviously, between an escalation that leads to World War III and send a message, and somewhere in between the Vlad stops and bombing Moscow, there's a solution to this. And they've got to go find that.
Yeah, and Poland has invoked Article 4 of the NATO Charter, which means the main policy making body now has to meet that when Article 4 is invoked, it's only been effective if you have deployment immediately. So my hope is they're talking deployment in Poland on NATO territory, not in Ukraine, but in Poland. And the bringing down of these drones, this was multinational. This just wasn't the Polish. The Germans were involved. The Italians were involved. I mean, this was a multinational kind of organized response to this. And I'm sure the Germans are probably a little concerned at this point in time. So yeah, the idea that Trump can say, well, next week I'll get around to it and we'll have a talk, and I'll talk to Vlad, my buddy, and it'll be. You're right. We have to have a response. It's got to be strong, and I still say, when you said we're speaking, Scott, you said we need Trump to step up and be strong. My first thought was, oh shit, that's our best chance.
Yeah.
We're so screwed. It's not even funny. That's like saying, what was that? Bud Light. They've been bringing back those old Bud Light commercials, and they're playing the softball game, and they need one more run, and they need somebody to pinch hit, and they go, who's available? And that girl gets up and goes, I'm available, and they pick the girl instead. Well,
right.
He's our euchre. You can't rely on him for anything, and so that is, yeah, that's. This is going to play out. I mean, this is probably something that everybody should keep an eye on as to how this plays out. And I think this is a real test for NATO. But I was very surprised to see that all the nations that were involved in the shutdown of these drones, the United States was not one of them.
No.
I'm not surprised.
Take it from that, whatever you would like.
I'm not surprised. And it's very unfortunate not to be surprised that we're not supporting our allies.
Maybe we're in the wrong part of the country. Poland's a big place. Maybe we're in the wrong part of the country. Maybe this is where the Germans and the Italians and all the rest of them are, except for us. I don't know.
But we're supposed to have the greatest military in the world.
Because it was the Polish, the Dutch, with assistance from the Italians, the Germans, and NATO multinational forces were the ones that were deployed for this. I don't hear the United States anywhere into it. So, yeah, sorry. I think that's about the best we can do with that one.
I mean, again, sanctioning other countries for Russia's problem is, to me, not a very good response. It's quite frankly insane. It's led India into the arms of China and Russia, and it really is just a stupid thing to do. There are sanctions that you can put in Russians. There are sanctions that you could use to stop them, and those sanctions need to be levied right now.
Okay.
Alrighty. So thank you very much, Nora, for your question. We appreciate that, and thank you for listening as well, and thank you to all our listeners. And if you are not yet subscribed on the platform of your choice, please do so. Subscribing is free. Share with a friend. And we will see you again next time on the Nova Society.
The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening!